What is going on, everybody? Nick Costa here, and welcome to this video lesson on the 10-stroke roll. This is rudiment number 11 from the Percussive Art Society's 40 Essential Rudiments. If you have been following along with the Drum Essential series at nickcostamusic.com, this is video number 20. So in this lesson, you're going to learn how to play the 10-stroke roll. You will then play through a few different exercises that allow you to incorporate it into your playing. Finally, you'll see some examples on how to execute it as part of a groove or a fill on the drum kit. I'm excited to get into this with all of you, so let's get started. So if you've been following that Drum Essential series at nickcostamusic.com, you already know how to play the 9-stroke roll. In order to turn the 9-stroke roll into a 10-stroke roll, we're going to add an additional tap to the end. So if you are playing a right-handed 10-stroke roll, you have right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, left. You're starting with your left hand, you have left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, right. So to get comfortable with the 10-stroke roll pattern, this first exercise you are going to play the roll in an eighth note, quarter note subdivision. Those 4 sets of doubles are your 4 sets of eighth notes for the first measure. The taps at the end are the 2 quarter notes, right and left hand, for the second measure. You will then rest on beats 3 and 4. For the third measure, again, you're going to play those eighth notes as doubles, followed by a left and right quarter note taps for beats 1 and 2 of your fourth measure. You again will rest for beats 3 and 4. Going to turn the click on at 80 BPM. Play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and... All right, let's move on to exercise number 2. This time you are going to play the 10-stroke roll in a 16th note, 8th note subdivision. Starting with your right hand, you're playing 4 sets of doubles for the 16th notes on beats 1 and 2 of this first measure. For the 8th notes on beat 3, you have a right-handed and left-handed tap. You will then rest on beat 4. For the second measure, starting with your left hand, you're going to play doubles for the 16th notes on beats 1 and 2, followed by a left and right-handed tap for the 8th notes on beat 3. Again, you're resting on beat 4. This time around, make sure that you are accenting those 2 taps at the end of each roll. Turning the click on, play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and... Moving on to exercise 3, you are now playing in the subdivision that has been written out by the Percussive Art Society. So for this first measure, starting with your right hand, those 4 sets of doubles are falling in beat 1. Your right and left-handed tap are the 2 16th notes, 2 E on beat 2 of that first measure. You will then rest for the remainder of the measure. For the second measure, you're going to start off with your left hand. Again, those 4 sets of doubles are all falling within beat 1, and then the left and right-handed tap are the 2 16th notes starting on beat 2. You then will rest for the remainder of the measure. Going to turn the click back on. Play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and... So now that you've had the chance to play through a few different subdivisions to get more comfortable with the 10-stroke roll, this is a perfect time in the lesson to pause the video and really work on it. Again, like all of your other rolls, you want to make sure you're staying nice and relaxed. You also want to make sure that your doubles are open rather than crushed. You also want to make sure that you are able to accent the last 2 notes of your 10-stroke roll. So if you need to, pause the lesson here, work on your 10-stroke roll until you're nice and relaxed, have open doubles, and can play the accents at the end. Once you can do that, hit continue. All right, welcome back. It's time to put that 10-stroke roll into context. So for exercise number 4, you are playing the rhythm of 1, 2 E end, and a 4. Starting with your right hand, you are going to play a right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 1. You're then going to play another right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on the end of beat 2. You will then realize you have an additional right-handed quarter note tap on beat 4. For the second measure, play a left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 1, followed by another left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on the end of beat 2. Again, you'll notice that you have a left-handed quarter note tap that's on beat 4. Turning the click back on, play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and... Now for exercise number 5, you are playing the rhythm of 1, 2E, 3E, and a 4. So for this first measure, you're playing a 10-stroke roll starting on beat 1. You then have an 8th note rest on the end of beat 2. Starting with your right hand, you are going to alternate for the 16th note quarter note pattern on beats 3 and 4. For the second measure, start out with a left-handed 10-stroke roll. Again, you have an 8th note rest on the end of beat 2. And starting with your left hand, you are going to alternate for the 16th note quarter note pattern on beats 3 and 4. Clicks going back on. Play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and... Moving on to exercise number 6, you are playing the rhythm of 1 and 2E and a 3, 4E. Starting with your right hand, you will alternate for the 8th note, 16th note pattern on beats 1 and 2. You will then play a right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 3. Notice that you have an 8th note rest on the end of beat 4. For the second measure, starting with your left hand, you are going to alternate for the 8th note, 16th note pattern on beats 1 and 2. Play a left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 3. And of course, you have an 8th note rest on the end of beat 4. Turning the click back on, play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and... Now for exercise 7, you are playing a 2-bar loop. The rhythm that you are playing is 1, 2E and a 3, 4E and a 1, 2E and a 3E and a 4. For the first measure, play a right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 1. You will then notice that you have a right and left-handed tap for the 16th note starting on the end of beat 2. Play another right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 3. And again, you'll notice you have a right and left-hand tap for the 16th note starting on the end of beat 4. For the second measure, play another right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 1. And then starting with your right hand, alternate for the remainder of the measure starting on the end of beat 2. Now for the third measure, it's the same pattern, but starting with your left hand. So you're going to play a left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 1. Again, notice you have a left and right-handed tap for the 16th notes on the end of beat 2. Play another left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 3. Again, you have that left and right-handed tap for the 16th notes on the end of beat 4. For the fourth measure, another left-handed 10-stroke roll on beat 1. Then starting with your left hand, you're going to alternate for the remainder of the measure starting on the end of beat 2. The trick with this exercise is to make sure that you are continuing to accent the end of your 10-stroke roll. The 16th notes that fall in between, you have to make sure are non-accent. Keeping that click on at 80 BPM, give it a shot. 1, 2, ready, and... Now that you've had the chance to play through a few exercises to put the 10-stroke roll into context, this is another perfect time in the lesson to pause the video and work on any of those exercises. If you noticed any tension in your arms, wrists, hands, or fingers, notice that your doubles were crushed, or were having a difficult time differentiating between the last two accented notes of the roll and the non-accented notes that were not part of the roll, this is a perfect time to pause and make sure that you can get all of that fixed. Once you feel more comfortable with it, hit continue. Okay, welcome back. It's time for the challenge. Just like the other challenges, you're playing through some various rhythms that allow you to incorporate the 10-stroke roll. We're also going to reintroduce some of those rudiments that were covered in earlier videos from the Drum Essential series. Finally, like every other challenge, you're going to have the opportunity to play the rhythm starting with both your right and your left hand. For this challenge, you have 12 measures. For the first 4 measures, you're playing a 2-bar loop. The 2-bar loop rhythm is 1, 2E and a 3, 4E and a 1, 2E and a 4E and a. For the first measure, you're starting out with a right-handed 10-stroke roll. Notice how the right and left-handed tap at the end of the roll are the first 2 notes of a right-handed single paradiddle. Play a left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 3. And again, notice those 2 taps at the end of the roll are your first 2 notes of a single left-handed paradiddle. For the second measure, play a right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 1, followed by another right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on the end of beat 2. Finally, you're playing a right-handed single paradiddle on beat 4. For the third measure, you're going to play a left-handed 10-stroke roll. Again, notice those 2 taps at the end are the first 2 notes of a single paradiddle. Play another left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 3. Again, notice those 2 taps at the end of that roll are the first 2 notes of a single paradiddle. For the fourth measure, play a left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 1, followed by another left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on the end of beat 2. Finally, you're playing a left-handed single paradiddle starting on beat 4. Here's what those 4 measures sound like together. 1, 2E and a 3, 4E and a 1, 2E and a 4E and a 1, 2E and a 3, 4E and a 1, 2E and a 4E and a. Now for measures 5 and 6, you are playing the rhythm of 1E, a 2, 3E and a, E and. So for measure 5, you are starting out with a right-handed 6-stroke roll on beat 1. You are then going to play a right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 2. Starting on the end of beat 3, you are playing another right-handed 6-stroke roll, followed by a right-handed 8th note tap on the end of beat 4. For the 6th measure, you are starting out with a left-handed 6-stroke roll on beat 1, followed by a left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 2. You're going to play another left-handed 6-stroke roll starting on the end of beat 3, and then finally you have a left-handed 8th note tap on the end of beat 4. Here's what those 2 measures sound like together. 1E, a 2, 3E and a, E and. 1E, a 2, 3E and a, E and. Now for measures 7 and 8, you are playing the rhythm of 1E and a 2E and a 4E and a. For measure 7, you are going to play a right-handed paradiddle diddle starting on beat 1. You are then going to play a right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 3. Finally, you're playing a right-handed single paradiddle on beat 4. For measure 8, you are going to start out with a left-handed paradiddle diddle. You are then going to play a left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 3. Finally, you're playing a left-handed single paradiddle starting on beat 4. Here's what those 2 measures sound like together. 1E and a 2E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 4E and a. Measures 9 through 12, you are playing another 2-bar loop. The rhythm for those 2 measures is 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4, 1E and a 3, 4E. For measure 9, you're going to start out by playing a right-handed double paradiddle. You're then going to play a left-handed double paradiddle starting on the end of beat 2. Starting on beat 4, you are going to play a right-handed 10-stroke roll. Play another right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on the end of beat 1 of the 10th measure. And finally, a third right-handed 10-stroke roll starting on beat 3. You will notice that you have an 8th note rest at the end of that measure. For the 11th measure, you're going to start out with a left-handed double paradiddle on beat 1, followed by a right-handed double paradiddle on the end of beat 2. You're then going to start a 10-stroke roll on beat 4. Play another left-handed 10-stroke roll starting on the end of beat 1, followed by a third 10-stroke roll starting on beat 3. Again, you will notice you have an 8th note rest at the end of that measure. Here's what those 4 measures sound like together. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4, 1E and a 3, 4E. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4, 1E and a 3, 4E. So now that you've had a chance to play through all of the different rhythms of the challenge, it is time to piece it all together. But this is a challenge though, right? So let's up that metronome to 110 BPM and give it a shot. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and... just like all of the other drum roll challenges, if you notice that you were starting to tense up in your arms, your wrists, your hands, or your fingers, notice that your doubles were starting to get crushed rather than staying open, or if you were having a difficult time playing accents and non-accents, it may have been a little bit too fast. That's totally fine, because speed is not the end game here. It's consistency and accuracy. So if you have to slow it down to make sure that you can be consistent and accurate, as well as stay relaxed, go ahead and do that. Continue to play at that slower tempo until you feel comfortable enough. Once you do, up that metronome by 5 clicks, try it again. Continue on with that pattern until you can get up to that 110 metronome marking, or possibly even faster. So now that we've had the chance to learn the 10-stroke roll, play a few exercises that allow us to incorporate it, as well as the challenge, let's talk about a couple ways to incorporate it on the drum set. Probably the most common way that you'll hear this is that the doubles will be played with the hands, and then the 2 accents are played with the feet. This is the part of the lesson where you get to work on your improvisational and musicianship skills. So I want you to think about a few different ways that you can execute this 10-stroke roll as either part of a groove or a fill. Now, although I want you to be creative and come up with your own ideas, here are just a few to get you started. So to recap, in this lesson you learned how to play the 10-stroke roll. You played through a few different subdivisions until you got it up to the correct one that's written out by the Percussive Arts Society. You then played through a few different exercises that allowed you to incorporate it into your playing. Finally, you saw some examples on how to execute it as part of a groove or a fill here on the drum kit. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at nickcostamusic.com and I'll try and help out any way that I can. If you enjoyed this lesson, make sure you do check out that Drum Essential series at nickcostamusic.com, where you'll see video lessons just like this one on all 40 rudiments from the Percussive Arts Society. You'll also see some additional lessons, including technique fundamentals and drum set fundamentals. And that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hopefully you've learned something from it. And until next time, see you later.